we have an agenda?
It's crazy.
21 miles.
Alright, thank you. Start, so.
Was it worth it?
I'm sorry, I
Oh,
didn't hear you.
cool.
I saw
Awesome.
He was asking.
Oh,
Who needs one?
Let's do a week and flip the iron.
He got one.
Oh,
He got one.
Long.
yeah, yeah.
Somebody was on top of things here. Nick, ready? Mike, Nick, we're good? All right. Okay, I'll go ahead and call to order the May 27th, 2025 regular meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement is learning for life. Vision statement, Southgate Community School is the best choice for students and parents. With that, I will entertain a motion on the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Supported by Mr. Koopser. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. First item is presentations, the board policy first read for food allergens.
Yes, what you have before you is the first read for some discussion today. Thank you. There we go. I was looking for mine. Over the last few months, our policy committee has discussed a little bit about our health policies currently and whether or not our food allergens have found a place in the language. Those concerns sparked from some experiences we had this year, and our committee was very concerned that we don't have policy language that addresses it. So we were able to propose some language that really just places our allergy consideration in the same vein as many of our other health plans, in which it's regulations that are managed and are handled through the administrative regulation side. In this case, we are looking at language of policy 2007, health concerns raised by parents or guardians. At the end, we're proposing to add that regulations will include the implementation of strategies for responding to and managing food allergies in the school setting, as well as the corresponding training of school personnel. So even though we are waiting for the board to consider this formally, we have gotten started on establishing some protocols that we're using now to process concerns about food allergies, and we think we've made some good progress there. So I do want to extend my appreciation to the policy committee for identifying that concern and moving us in that direction.
Screen.
So per se, the last, as well as the corresponding training of school personnel, to me, without being in the policy committee right now, so anybody can answer this. Who exactly are we training? Select people, everybody? What's the protocol, or where are we at with that?
Well, if we process concerns, or at least allergens on a case-by-case basis with a plan for that particular child, anyone who's involved in that plan needs to have training on how to implement that plan and respond to it. So it's really those school personnel that are going to encounter the student on a regular basis and be involved in decisions that might either risk exposure or protect the environment. So it's depending on how pervasive the allergy and sensitivity is, it could be a full school conversation at some level. It could be something that's really limited to just food service personnel and the teacher.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there something we need to build into this that talks about I don't want to phrase this in a way that offends anybody. Medical evidence of the allergy, or is this just, I think my kid's allergic to sunflowers, so you can't have it? I mean, is there something that we're going to have in this that has to be backed up with medical evidence, or, and then what do we get into as far as like HIPAA? And I guess that's where I'm a little concerned, is what are we tying ourselves into?
Well, the plan itself, the protocol we're using does have a portion or a section that requires the medical documentation. So it depends on how extensive the plan is, on what kind of documentation we're requesting. So if we have some documentation from the doctor, we'll move in that direction. If, there are some times when sensitivities are greater than what might be brought forward from that medical doctor, and that's something that we have to evaluate whether or not we will err on the side of caution, for that environment. But we do have that
I
requirement.
don't think all doctors are qualified to say that, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure my cardiologist can't identify that I'm allergic to something. Yet I'm pretty sure that's what you're going to get at some point in this, is you're going to get somebody's chiropractor telling you that they're allergic to something. How are we
Well,
responding
it's
to
not
that?
unlike our 504 planning, IEP planning. The plans that we establish are generally very closely connected to the medical evidence or the testing or the documentation that's provided. So plans that are really involved generally have a lot of substantiation behind them. Plans where the evidence is not as strong, our level of commitment or our level of involvement will likely reflect that.
I mean, it's absolutely something we need to be sensitive to. I can see the other side where it's,
Well, anytime that we have information about a medical concern for a student, we go through a problem-solving process. We identify how strong is this, how likely is there that there's a medical emergency? What will our response be if there is a medical emergency? How will we limit the possibility that there are medical emergencies? And they're all tied into how big of an issue we feel we have on our hands, and our nurses are involved in that planning. They're a component and they're part of the team. So that is something we rely on even in this situation.
and this is all based around food allergens, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is one thing that when the district moved from Neola to the Miller-Johnson, or the new platform that we use for policy, this was a component that was in the Neola policies. It was one that didn't make its way over to the new policy language. So when questions came up about how we handled or processed medical documentation around allergies, what's our stand on allergies, how structured will our responses be if we have a situation that comes up, we didn't have anything to start from, which was, is medical or is food allergy something that we consider to be on the same plane as health plans or medical plans?
Okay. Dr. Mahler.
So I just want to say that I'm happy to see that this is there, because I did a lot of research with other policies, and the fact that some issues can fall through the cracks, and when you have allergies or life-threatening diseases that children are impacted by, I'd rather see something that's a strategy and training in place there, as opposed to something that's non-existent for especially children who can have a life-threatening allergen reaction within a matter of minutes. So I'm glad to see that. So I'm very happy that that was put together. Thank you.
Do you want to? Yeah, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. My question is as relates to the corresponding training for school personnel. And I think about levels of standard of care that are expected to be given, and what exposure that creates potentially for the staff, the personnel, or the district if that level of care isn't provided at the time in which it's needed. If for some reason, God forbid, it doesn't. But is there an exposure with expectation of their ability to deliver that standard in time of need? And what exposure does that create to us? If you put people through training, they should know how to do the job. And if they didn't do it right, that Good Samaritan thing goes out the window, the way I understand it. So I was just curious if is there insurance or liabilities or things like that we need to protect ourselves with related to making sure we have people who can deliver these treatments, this potential in case someone does have an allergy.
Well, this policy is not going to actually start any new exposures and expectations for staff. Our staff does have to be EpiPen trained. These are kind of part of our standard staff training protocols because children that come to school with allergies will likely have an EpiPen that's been prescribed to them by a doctor, and we're going to be responsible for administering that if there's a reaction. So our health planning is pretty solid when it comes to what do we do if there's an emergency. We know what we're going to do. What is not as solid is how will the school environment respond to be proactive and try to prevent one of these exposures from happening. So those require a lot of communication, a lot of training, a lot of planning. The planning's done with the parent, so the parent's level of comfort is going to be a heavy component in how we plan around those responses. But everything from will we have peanut-free tables or not? Will we have processes in a classroom where there is a peanut allergy where we won't allow peanuts into that classroom, or parents know about it so they don't bring it at a party? You know, these are conversations that start to affect the community, the school community that kid is in, more so than just the individual plan of what happens when an emergency reaction happens. So that's the planning side that these templates are designed to explore and define. What is our kind of pre-exposure response plan? Or at least, how do we organize that?
Thank you.
And we're only administering medication that's given to us. So each child, we know exactly what they're supposed to have. If there's a child that has a reaction and we're not aware of it, there's not much we can do. We don't have EpiPens on hand, correct?
We do not have EpiPens that have not been medically prescribed.
Right.
We don't just have them on hand. So they are there because.
So the parents are knowing they're coming in, they're filling it out, they're bringing the EpiPen to the administration, it's there.
Our nurses involved in the plan, yes.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Okay, move on to citizens' comments. Any member can address the board for up to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and we'll close the public comment. Brings us to the consent agenda, which consists of May 13, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the HR update.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Also Mr. Greenbeach on that one. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
If I can, I'd like to introduce to you our new Allen teacher, second, third grade, Alexa Pimer. Is that how I pronounce that? Pimer, yep. She right now has done her student teaching with Miss Thomas at Allen Elementary, and she's taking on the new role. So welcome.
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 Brings us to our action item. First is the approval of Davidson Middle School, Washington DC trip.
Hello, everyone. I'm here seeking your approval for the Davidson Middle School Washington DC trip a year from now. That trip is going to be around the same time as it was this year, which was last week, but it will be next year. So those dates are the 18th through the 21st, so the week leading into Memorial Day weekend. Student Adventures Tours was chosen again to lead this adventure because they are cost effective and it's an all-inclusive approach. So it's one cost for the child and then everything's included: food, tickets, hotel, security. And so this trip will be funded through their own fundraising efforts throughout the next year.
Any questions for staff? Are we crossing over with any other events that we're going to be dealing with next year?
We have talked that over and we should be good.
We'll be okay?
They're coming home a bit early,
All right, I'm
so
marking the time, 7:16 during the meeting. We should be okay.
we should be okay.
Well, as long as they can run a semi-regional event after getting there at 7 a.m. in the morning after
Should
driving
be.
all night and being at their top peak performance.
They're
at
young,
3.
they can do that.
I didn't hear anything after should be okay, so.
You won't hear from me. You'll hear from my senior daughter.
So whatever you said after should be okay.
Yeah, they'll be home early Thursday morning, so that clears Thursday the entire day.
I know it's hard to plan ahead a year, but it's a whole year, so.
It is very hard, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. There's only certain times when these things can happen, so, all right. Any other questions for staff? All right, seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Davidson Middle School 8th grade trip to Washington DC as presented.
I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Okay, action item number 2 is approval of the delegation Southgate Board of Education vote for the Wayne Risa Board election.
Yes, the governance of Wayne Risa is granted authority by the body of elected boards of education in Wayne County. When board members run for Wayne Risa seats, all boards of education in Wayne County cast votes by delegating a board member to vote on their behalf. We have 2 candidates who are running for the open Risa seats, and they are incumbents, James Berry and Linda Jackson. The biographies of both are attached, and the Board of Education for Southgate will need to determine who will attend that meeting and vote on behalf of Southgate for these 2 individuals.
Any questions?
Did we select somebody?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Was it a question?
You accept.
I can do it.
Well, yeah, we'll need a motion there, Mr.
Yeah.
Please just fill in the blank.
Yeah, I need to put.
You don't
these
need
in.
to, this isn't as presented?
It makes it a lot easier. No,
No.
no, there's a whole little thing here.
Oh, okay.
Mr. President,
Screen.
I move to approve the resolution designating Dr. Darlene Pomponio as the delegate to cast a vote for James Berry and Linda Jackson on behalf of the Southgate Board of Education at the Wayne Risa Board election on Monday, June 2nd, 2025.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Green. Is that supported?
Support.
Support by Mr. Koopser. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's
It'd be
passed.
pretty funny if she said nay.
It was out of her hands at that,
6 to
it was
1.
out of her hands at that point.
Yeah.
All right, action item 3, Wayne Risa preliminary 2025-2026 general fund budget.
Yes, the Board of Education has received the RESA preliminary 2025-2026 general fund budget, and it is enclosed. At this time, this does need to be approved no later than June 1st, so it is before the board to recommend a final approval.
Any questions for staff on the Wayne Risa budget? Okay, seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 Wayne Risa budget as presented and direct the Secretary of the Board of Education to submit our approval and any accompanying comments using the recommended model resolution.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 4, Davidson Middle School Wrestling Room.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm here tonight to discuss the proposed creation of a wrestling room at Davidson Middle School for the DMS co-ed wrestling team and also as a potential location for future Southgate youth wrestling program. As I stated in my memo, our participation in wrestling at Davidson has grown tremendously over the years. We are now consistently at about 33, 35 wrestlers every year. We really are trying to capitalize and continue growing, not only at the middle school level, but also get elementary wrestlers interested as well. We're looking to turn our old cardio room that our gym used into this wrestling room to ensure our wrestlers have a designated area to practice. Currently, many of their practices are unfortunately held in the cafeteria on older mats that are 15-ish years old. So it just isn't a very good thing for the team to have to consistently drag these mats through the halls into the cafeteria just to hold a practice. And it's no secret, as I said in the memo, that wrestling is growing rapidly in the Downriver area, and I just think it's important to kind of capitalize on all the momentum Southgate has made in wrestling, which I would like to see the creation of this room for our wrestlers. The following quotes are for floor mats that will be going into the proposed DMS wrestling room, as well as quotes for the wall padding and the installation of the wall pads.
Any questions for staff? Oh, Mr. Coops, sir. He was going fast there.
Jason Hardy is going to step up too. I've been working pretty close with Jim to answer more technical questions that might be asked. Yeah.
Definitely not technical. Where's the cardio room in Davidson?
Right across from the gym, in between the boys and girls locker rooms in the athletic wing.
Okay. It's a fairly small room, so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be able to hold meets there. By any means,
would not.
so,
No, it would
okay.
just be for practice purposes. Yeah.
It's not super small. It's,
Well, I was looking at the dimensions here. The mat size is 37 by 28. So
well, if you look at our wrestling room for the high school, it's pretty small.
okay.
That's why we put mats on the wall.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because we get thrown against the wall.
Oh, okay.
So do we have any newer mats for Davidson right now? Or is this the first
So newer
for
mats.
the room?
Yeah, so these would be new mats that would be stationary in the new wrestling room if approved. Yeah.
Okay,
I think they're using the hand-me-downs right now, right?
Okay.
Correct.
That's what they're using, the
I
old.
wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah, older
the-
mats. Yeah, and they do split with cheerleading right now on the mats that they're using. So the only time they can really use the better quality mats is when cheerleading has a competition or they're not practicing that night. So
Thank you.
Any other questions?
do I just go with recommendation? Yeah, okay. It is our recommendation to go with option number 1 for floor mats, which is the Resolite Independent Sales Pro. Resolite was the only company that offered any type of a warranty. They are currently giving a 3-year warranty, and Resolite also have the highest quality mats for our students. The warranty was really a key decision in trying to decide what company to go with, but they said any tear, rip, or anything that happens to any section of the mat, they will either come out and fix it themselves. If they can't fix it, they will replace the section that was damaged. So just looking at the volume that these mats are going to get used at, I think it will be wise to have some kind of a warranty, because if not, we would be taking the risk of having to pay more money if another mat section was damaged.
Have we used this company before?
So when I spoke to the gentleman, he said that they, in some way, helped out with the creation of the room at Anderson, and I'm not sure what they provided, either the floor mats or the wall mats. I'm not sure, but he said that they did something for us at Anderson High School.
Okay, thank you.
How long do these mats usually last?
That's a great question. If I had to say, I'd say at least 10 years, 10 to 15 years out of them. Yeah, because the ones we're using currently in the cafeteria, I believe I saw the tag on it was from 2009, and we're still using them
Some
today.
of the mats we've had are over 20 years old.
Yeah.
And this one, they're not moving
Doesn't
around.
mean they last that long, as we held on to them that long.
It's going to save their coaches about 2 hours a day too, of
Yes.
bringing the mats to and from.
And taping them down. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, ask Sean, Mr. Sage, as the expert on this, he would give us a good idea, but he just answered it, so.
You would know, right?
I mean, I think you would have a better idea than any
I have
of
an
us up
idea.
here.
So going through the memo, we got a couple options here for the mats. You got floor mats. You got option 1, option 2, and then option 3 looks like just logoing the
It's
mats.
for a wrestling mat and for a logo. I begged the gentleman at Dullimer to give me a more breakdown or a better breakdown of the quote, and that is all he sent me was
a
those,
simple mat with
those two
logo.
things. Yes, no dimension, just a
Listen,
wrestling mat
I
and
appreciate
a logo.
I appreciate straightforward and simple, but I mean, he
Yes.
could give us one that's 2 by 2, right? There's no
Exactly,
size on
yes,
here. There's
yes.
no.
I
we don't
begged
know how
him,
big it
but,
is. We don't know nothing.
Yep, yep,
Okay, so you like option 1 is your recommendation on the floor mats? Is that what I'm grabbing?
correct,
All right,
correct.
and then on the wall mats, you have option 1 and option 2.
Correct.
So which one do you guys recommend on the wall mats?
So for the wall mats, and Jason was instrumental. He knew these companies that came out and did the measurements, helped us out with the wall mats. We are going with option 2. They came highly recommended. They have done various projects for us and have done quality work. There's a lot of customization to these wall mats that has to happen due to certain cutouts for the wall sockets, for the thermostat, for the columns in the room. So due to this customization is why the price is what it is. When we had this other company, option 1, Carter Crompton, come out, they mismeasured the room.
Yeah, they're only showing 48 mats where C&M Associates included 55 mats the same size, which is the real number of
Yeah.
mats.
So our thinking was if they messed up measuring the room, if they were selected, we'd question the quality of their work if selected.
Yeah.
So what we got is a recommendation from staff that they're looking for option 1 for the floor mats and option 2 for the wall mats. So any discussion we have, we want to and any motions we have, we want to base it on.
I just got one question as far as the logo. Are they going to submit something to you to approve prior?
Yes, absolutely. So right now, and we're waiting for confirmation before we get that, but we're going to have Titans on the wall with the sword logo
Okay.
in the center of the main circle for the floor mat.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a branding standard guide that we provide to people?
Somewhere
Have
there,
somebody who
there-
looks at it and says yes or no.
there was one at some point, I want to say, for the color numbers and
Font?
Oh, yeah.
We
you went
have
with the-
some
yeah.
standard colors that are now our,
there's several
Current
logos
issue?
out there though that
there's now, it's not in a bound version that anyone could take a look at and see. We can probably start to, now that we can become more consistent on it, we could probably create something that we'd provide to people. We do have vector files, though, that when we have companies who want logos put on, we send them the file and say this is the version of it. So we have one. We know what our logos are, and we're pretty consistent with those at this point. But
If the question begs, are you going to be able to see it's easier if you start with the brand standard, you give it to them.
Yeah.
And then they come back with something that you're most likely going to approve. It's in your standard, that's all.
yeah, no, they will ask us for the vector file for the logo, and we'll send it to them.
yeah, they don't want to make something that we already have, right?
So the logo on the floor mat will match the one we use for competition? Is that what I'm just?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sure it will say DMS though instead of,
Yeah, instead of STA, it'll say DMS
DMS,
instead.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions for staff?
I mean, I guess if this is just a small practice room, is it really necessary that it's logo? I mean, it's not to be the wet blanket here, but I mean,
No, I was thinking kind of the same thing. Is how important are the logos other than? I guess there is the chance these don't stay in that room all the time, right? They get hauled out for something at some point. I don't know.
I don't know, I would say that we've been consistently making sure that all of our spaces are pretty standardly branded, and it's just,
But they print something on these mats anyway, so I don't know that it's adding anything to the cost. I mean, they print
What is
they
the
have to,
cost
they have to
difference?
print the circles.
So
Circle
the for the wall mats for all these companies, they would be hand painted actually instead of stamped on. Yeah, they would have to come out and paint the logo on there and have it fit what we wanted basically.
So is that broken down?
Yeah,
Do we know?
so I should have brought the quotes with me, but don't quote me 100%, but I believe it was around $1,200 for the floor mat and roughly the same for the wall mat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I don't think you have to have a branding, but if we're gonna try this elementary thing and we want it to be about the Titans branding in that room, because you're having kids from the community coming in, do you have to have it? No. Is it ideal? For sure, but for $1,200,
Right, that's what I was thinking.
I do think as you develop some consistency in all of your spaces, you start to communicate a message about a space that you don't. And I do think that that can happen, in fact, if our one space that we're not branding is the space that it may have cost a little more to brand than maybe some of our others. Whether that communicates a negative message to the wrestling program, we wouldn't want that. We would want them to feel like they're as much a part of the excitement around the athletic program. So I think that plays into than just, I don't know.
It's a
This
small
can come
amount. I
up.
mean, I guess I can leave that up to you guys. If you guys say, hey, this makes sense to get put in, maybe the wall makes more sense than the floor because you can see the wall. The floor is hard to see. The floor might get scuffed up and beat up, especially if it's hand painted on. It might not last. I don't know, but I'll leave that to you guys. I mean, for $1,000, it's
Yeah, it's worth it, I think, for that small amount.
Yeah.
but
Overall.
or maybe put two on the wall. I don't know. Rather than on the floor. But I don't know. It's fair question though. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
We'll prove it here, and then you guys spend the money wisely. I trust you on that. All right. We'll go ahead and bring the discussion back to the table. Entertain a motion on action item number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Davidson Middle School Wrestling Room for $31,830, not more than $31,837.50, including option 1 for flooring, option 2 for the wall mats as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? I'll just say again, if you guys find the branding makes sense on the walls, do it. If you feel like it makes sense on the floor, it's fine. I guess I don't feel strongly about it either way. But
Absolutely.
I support the branding completely. If you make the kids feel like they're wrestling in a closet, versus a space that it's branded, celebrated, part of that entire complex. It really, I think it becomes a source of pride of a location that they're in, and it'll be treated as such. I would like to think, at least subconsciously. So I'm fully in support of it.
sure. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. MHSAA 2025-2026 membership resolution.
Yes, annually, we register our participation with the MHSAA, and we make revisions to our student population and numbers. That defines what divisions we play in. It also makes sure that all of our students in all of our schools are eligible to play. So this is a very important component annually. We did this year add the Davidson Middle Academy because our students at the Davidson Middle Academy will be have the opportunity to play at Davidson. So this will make sure that by attending DMA, they still are able to participate in sports. So this is before you for approval.
All right, any questions for staff? Standard thing we do every year, right?
Yep.
All right. Bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution as presented.
Okay, motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Item number 6, a new turf sweeper for grounds. Sure, it's cooler than it sounds, right?
Well, it's pretty awesome if you want. I'm excited about it. So we've installed the turf fields on baseball, softball, and of course we have it on the stadium. We're looking to at purchasing a piece of equipment to be used on all 3 fields. The sweeper will collect the debris on the fields and redistribute the rubber back onto the fields as the debris is sorted separately. We had an opportunity to demo both pieces on our fields prior to making this recommendation. Currently, we have a groomer. The groomer will redistribute the rubber and stands the fibers back up, but this is more of a sweeper, so it's going to pick up the during our tests, it picked up sunflower seeds, the tape, from football practice, and it even went down into the rubber. I can't tell you how far, but it was picking up stuff you couldn't see with the eye. And it sorts all of that debris in a container, and the rubber falls back down on the field. So the Pioneer Athletics, a 16-foot Turf Chief friction sweeper, that's a mouthful, has a lifetime warranty. We also demoed the Shaw Sports Turf 16, say foot sports sweeper. It's a recommendation the Board of Education approve the purchase of the 16-foot Turf Chief friction sweeper from Pioneer Athletics in the amount of $8,528.35. I've attached some pictures of both sweepers. So 16-foot is 2 8-foot mats with a bar in the middle, and we'll use the gators to pull this around on the fields. And again, we've tested on the baseball, softball, and the turf field, and this worked wonderful. Questions?
You still need the groomer with this? Or does it
Yeah, the groomer's different, so it'll stand the fibers back up where the sweeper won't.
This won't do that.
It won't do that. It's more like a mat. The rubber and debris come in, the rubber falls through the screen back onto the field, and then the debris is caught in like a net. And then you tip it over and you can gather all the debris in a 5-gallon bucket. So it sweeps the fields, and you can do that daily, weekly, every other day, depending on use of field. There's no,
Are we still using the groomer then on top after that?
yeah, after that, you gotta use a groomer
Yeah,
to
to bring it back up.
stand the fibers back up for the play. So it's in tandem, the sweeper and the groomer. Yes.
So is it absolutely necessary that we have it? What have we been using? We just been using the groomer, but
Right now, the guys are hand picking up sunflower seeds on the turf, and debris with little pickers, and sometimes just bending over and picking them up and putting them in a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay.
So this is going to speed up the cleanup of the turf and help maintain
save
it.
time.
Yeah.
So are these like mats, or is there something mechanical to this?
No, it's pretty much mats, and you can roll them up. They got a Velcro so you can store them. They're about this big. They're 8-foot unrolled, and then you hook them to the middle bar in the middle and pull it behind. So you have 16 foot at a time. So the turf field stadium should take, you don't go real fast because then it'll go everywhere. But it'll take about 20 to 30 minutes to sweep that turf fully, going at the recommended speed for this sweeper.
Green gators.
Okay.
Keep their toe
Yep.
behind that.
It tows behind the gator, and then you pull it off to the side, and you can then dump the debris into a bucket and keep going as the bin fills up.
Okay, I was just trying to picture in my head
Yeah.
how big it is, because for $8,000, that's
Yeah, so it's 2 mats and a bar to connect it. Lifetime warranty too is why we picked this one. It's $328 more than the one Shaw Sports Turf, and they only had a 2-year warranty on it. So for another $300, we're going for the lifetime warranty.
okay. And do you know how long they last usually? I mean, with the lifetime warranty, that's good, but about how long do they last with the mat?
I don't, there's no mechanical, it's a drag mat, so as long as you're not catching it on the concrete and you're off turf, I mean, it should last for quite some time as long, we're gonna store it, not just throw it in the corner. We're gonna roll it up, store it right, put it up on a rack, so it should last a long time.
Okay, sounds good, thank
Have no
you.
answer.
She took the question. The question,
Stole it from you?
how long it would last, because if it's not getting snagged, the vinyl on the bottom, how long? They didn't give any timeline, and
No,
we gotta replace this every 3 years, every 4 years.
well, again, lifetime warranty, so if it starts to fray, we're gonna say, hey, lifetime warranty on it, give us a
Okay.
new mat, you know?
How long have they been in business?
You know?
It's a mute
How,
point.
Yeah.
how long have they been in business then?
Pioneer Athletics?
Yeah.
Pioneer Athletics does more than just sweepers. They do turf paint. They've been in business, the company itself, for a very long time. We use them for just about a lot of things, for baseball, softball, for the stadium. So we don't buy just equipment from them. And myself and Dan, been working with them at least the last 10 years, Pioneer Athletics. So they stand behind their products.
Thank you.
So by having this,
Mr. Freitas down on the end? Okay.
yes, so by having this sweeper, basically it's gonna prolong the life of our turf and keep it nice for a longer period of time. We're
So-
taking care of it, being proactive.
So what happens is, as this debris gets in your turf, it'll actually cut your fibers. So then, over time, you won't have as many fibers to stand up. And yes, you're right, it prolongs the length of the turf. Sunflower seeds are one of the worst things for turf, believe it or not, because they are sharp and they get ground down in there, and they will cut the fibers over time while you're playing on it. And then,
And has the football field ever been swept before with something like this?
no.
Okay,
I mean, the groomer doesn't do as good of a
Right.
job. I mean, it stands the fibers up, it, redistributes rubber, it will collect, but nothing to this magnitude.
okay.
All right. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a new turf sweeper for the grounds not to exceed $8,528.35 as present. There we go.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion?
Due to the fact that this is machinery for baseball and football, which I'm a volunteer assistant, I will be abstaining from the vote to not have, since I have a vested interest in it.
Okay. Any issues with Mr. Green abstaining? See, all right. So, any other discussion on item 6? Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And one abstention. Okay. Action item number 7, renovation of the Garish softball and baseball field backstops, fencing, and foul poles.
Yeah, so back in September, we bid out the new backstops fencing for both softball and baseball fields at Garish. At that time, we had 2 contractors submit bids, and the low contractor was Industrial Fence. I attached their bid. I'll discuss them in a minute here. But we felt the price was still pretty high for the fencing. So at the time, Industrial Fence was $144,547 for new backstop structure at softball and at baseball. There are backstops there. They're at the life of the backstop. The wire is all bowed in or out. The fencing on them, and they need to really be replaced. That's why we're discussing this. So just recently, I had Brady's Fence provide us a quote for the same bid that was in September, and they came in at a price of $92,232 versus the $144,547. Currently, the softball field at Garish has no outfield fence. So there's no way, now that we've renovated the field, to keep dirt bikes or people off the field. so we can't shut, and there's no gates, it's wide open. So, which is not a bad thing, but you want to make sure we protect the fields that we're playing on. So we'd like to enclose that, also give them the home run fence, because the outfield fence, there's no foul poles currently for softball, that's included in the proposal. And then on baseball, we're going to put new foul poles on baseball, new backstop, and then a new backstop on softball as well. Now the season is, coming to an end, so we'd like to do the work sooner than later if approved, so that it's ready to go. For the midsummer, everything will be fenced for fall. We're also going to reuse some of the existing fabric from Anderson High School. There's some fabric that we were able to take down and save, and it's really good. It was only up for about a year, so we put that aside. So Brady's Fence is going to reuse the existing fabric and give us a cost savings of $3,300 to go along with it. So it's our recommendation the board would approve Brady's Fence for the softball, baseball fencing at Garish in the amount of $97,232. I've included a $5,000 contingency, and this is a savings of $47,315 over the original bid back in September. So that'll be the savings for this project. Questions?
So I was looking at the diagrams. Does it enclose the entire field? I mean, the baseball and softball?
Yeah, and currently the baseball field is enclosed with an outfield fence and backstop, so that's there. We're doing most of the work is on the backstop itself. We're going to remove it and put a brand new backstop in, tie it back into the fence, add a gate and some new foul poles. On softball, there's nothing but the backstop, so it's wide open, so it will enclose the entire softball field with new foul poles and the outfield fence for your home runs. And maintenance gate as well on softball.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
From the diagram, I'm seeing that it shows that there's fencing around what is dugouts, visitors and home. Is there any type of covering or anything like that currently?
There is no roof on the dugouts right now. It's just a fence with a bench in the middle. And it's to protect them from the balls, but there's no roof or canopy over the dugouts currently at baseball or softball at Garish. So there's not a true dugout, if you will, that you're used to seeing like at Anderson, a true dugout.
It's just a cage.
Essentially.
This is more for Sharon. So Davidson Middle School is playing at Garish, correct?
Yes, the longer-term plan is to build fields at Davidson so that they don't have to be transported to play. They've been playing at here, these fields. These fields, though, this year were not in condition to play, so they actually went ahead and used Garish instead. So yes, Davidson is playing there.
We currently have a rental group running out the fields now as well.
If you feel like you'd like for the district to go back and do a more comprehensive design that includes dugouts as well, that's something that can be done. Right now, we're addressing some of the more urgent, but it does maintain the current design.
No, I'm not asking for that. I was just curious, since we're investing in this, to your point, Davidson's playing there, but the long-term goal is to put in 2 fields over behind Davidson.
Davidson, right.
Right, so we're talking about investing $150,000 roughly to a field that I'm not sure what its future is. And how long before the ones over at Davidson would be prospectively going to be completed for them to be able to leverage reuse. So is this a 2-year,
I would say probably
150K?
2
Is
year.
that about that? So what's the plan for these fields after the Davidson fields are completed?
Well, the city is and players and teams in the area are very interested in playing on those fields. I don't know if that's enough reason, but if you haven't been to Garish recently and seen those particular backstops, they were from the age when the district would paint them. So there's a lot of reason to, at least just for standard long-term, I guess, renovating that area just so that it's available and in good condition for use without having to be a highly competitive area. Replacing some of those items would be a good idea.
We probably need to do something if we're not doing this. This is, and it's 92, right? 92, 97 was the Brady
sorry.
price.
92.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
$92,232.
no, that's okay, but we got to do something there probably. It's,
Yeah.
I hear all, I hear all the time from the neighbors there about.
The wire on the backstops, really, it's bowed in, bowed out. We've had to bend it back. We want to make sure it's safe to, for play because it's pretty bad shape. Now, that's heavy duty gauge wire, and that's what's going to go back up on the backstop, but it's at their life.
From the 70s or something, probably.
Yeah.
It needs to be replaced just for the community's sake, if nothing else. But,
I get Mr. Koopser's point though, too, is, are we throwing,
I mean, do we need to have an outfield fence if we're not going
Well,
to use it
are we-
competitively for a long time?
yeah.
Is there a reason, I mean, I don't know the whole plan, the overview, but is there a reason that's done before the Davidson?
Just because they're using it now. Building
Oh,
the fields
okay.
at Davidson is going to be much more involved.
Okay.
Yeah, we groomed them in the spring, right? You just.
Yeah, we've actually redone the fields. Mother Nature had taken them over, and we have put money into the infields and outfields, making sure that we're top dressing them. We brought infill material in. They are well playable fields at this time, and we want to keep them that way. It's hard to keep it that way on softball without a fence because it's, again, wide open
four-wheeler
with dirt
around.
bikes and
Yeah,
you
big
name it
bikes.
Yeah.
right now currently.
Other than the geese, there's a ton of geese.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right. Seeing none, bring the discussion to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the renovation of the Garrison softball and baseball fields backup, fencing, and foul poles not to exceed $92,232.
That's the Brady's fence, right? That's my
Right.
motion. Okay. All right, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Was Mr. Sage. Any discussion? I'll just say I see the merit here in doing this work. I also see what Mr. Koopser is asking the question. A lot of money, but I think we got to do something there. So that's, without a better answer, I guess that's where I'm at with it.
And I just hope that we have plans in the future. That's all.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
sure.
Not that there's gonna be some travel team or local team that's gonna make a revenue stream to pay for it, but something's gotta be done, so I expect that there's gotta be an investment regardless, so.
Build it and they will come. They made a movie on that.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna say
sure.
that, that's what I'm saying.
Give me
All right.
Ty
Any,
Cobb out there, we'll get our money back.
any other discussion? Right. Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Action item number 8, Anderson base replacement. And this is tricking me. This is not to do with baseball.
No, these are not baseball bases.
Okay, all right.
This is baseboard,
Oh, baseboard.
The same phone call I made to you last week.
baseboard. We're off to athletics now.
Felt like you were setting me up there with baseball stuff.
This summer, Granger is removing all the lockers and placing them at Anderson High School. New base in these corridors during this locker renovation is not included in the project. To save money, specifically overhead profit from Granger and the contractors adding the base, we had 2 contractors bid out this work directly. To remove all the base in existing corridors, common areas, cafeteria, including underneath all of the lockers, and replacing the base with a 4-inch burnt umber base in all the corridors. That's kind of our standard base now we're going to throughout the district. Common areas and cafeteria, including underneath all the lockers. SCI flooring gave us a number of $9,078, and Cones Commercial Flooring for $15,950. It's a recommendation the Board of Education approve SCI floor covering to demo and install the new base at Anderson in the amount of $9,078. we're painting the walls at the same time around the lockers, but they, for whatever reason, missed this in their scope of work for this summer, and we want to make sure it's done right and save a little bit of their overhead and fees. Because we got the contractors that'll do it directly.
Would this be, speaking to that, because it was an oversight, would it be any of the contingency?
From the Granger project,
I think it was left off because we were originally going to be replacing flooring. And the flooring project was going to build up the base. So when we delayed the flooring, the locker replacement did not have a base replacement. So this is, I don't know that it was an error or omission of the architect. I think it was pulling one project and not realizing what piece was going to get missed.
Something this simple that we're probably better off on, because then we can save the overhead.
yeah.
We would have paid for it anyway, but we saved the,
yeah, right now it's a tan color, and you're not going to match that year of the tan base, so we're changing it to the burnt umber, and it'll all, be one color too, so it won't be a different color at the lockers, because they don't even make that tan color anymore. And then, on each side of the lockers and down the corridors, a different color.
any other questions for staff? Seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 8.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Anderson base replacement not to exceed $9,078.
Okay, motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support? Support by Ms. Angel, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is passed. Garish Media Center carpet replacement.
This is my last one, I
Oh.
promise.
We're out of items.
At least for tonight. So currently, robotics rooms are getting renovated for the robotics team. Robotics is living in the Garish Media Center during this renovation. They have their field there. So the robotics field is in the media center. After robotics room renovations are complete and robotics moves into their rooms, the Garish Media Center will be empty. Now, the Garish Media Center, the lab, the offices have some really old carpeting and it needs to be replaced. So this is the best time for the replacement. Once they move out, there's no furniture, we can get it done fairly quickly and efficiently.
We've been steadily going through all of our media centers in replacing the carpets that were there. They were probably 30 years old.
Got the base figured in there?
Yep,
All right, I don't miss the base.
4-inch per number base.
Yeah, I don't want another item for base here in the future.
So we received two quotes to remove and replace carpet in the media center, the media lab, and the offices attached. It also includes the 4-inch per number base right there. SCI flooring for $23,693.51, and Cones commercial flooring for $22,994. It's our recommendation the Board of Education approve Cones commercial flooring to demo install the new carpet in the Garish Media Center, lab, and offices in the amount of $22,994. These will be the carpet squares. It's a district standard we're going to when we're putting in carpet in the buildings. There's a book of standard color be picked from that standard, and it will be squares. So if there's stains or we can't clean it, we can pull a square out and put a square back down. Currently, it's the old rug, one piece of carpeting in the media center. So.
Okay, any questions for staff? Seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 9.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Garish Media Center carpet replacement not to exceed $22,994.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support? Support. Support by Mr. Sage, any discussion?
Yeah, Jason, it says 4-inch base burnt umber.
I know.
Okay, it's just
I
checking.
read it, I was just, I appreciate you pointing that out.
Okay, no problem.
Any other discussion besides pointing out my mistakes? Seeing none, I'll call for vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Brings us to the last item on the agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Green?
Mr. President, I'd like the motion to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Green to adjourn the meeting. Is it supported?
Support.
Supported by Dr. Pomponio. Any discussion on the adjournment?
Can I make one comment before we close?
Yeah, during the discussion, sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just want to thank and welcome Ms. Primer for her patience and dedication to our students, and truly welcome her to the Southgate Community School District. So, thank you.
All right, any other discussion on the adjournment? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.